Welcome to the Life Endurance Podcast, where we study methods of unlocking your true potential and exploring the greatest endurance race we all partake in, life. My name is Austin Shadle, and today I want to share some thoughts on 2022 and how we can all start 2023 with either new or sustained momentum. So I was listening to a podcast with the infamous David Goggins, a man who has accomplished insane feats of mental and physical endurance, but has also owned up to his past failures and shortcomings. At one point, he had a quote that hit me and really helped me shift my mindset about 2023, and was along the lines of, "I did not fail, it was just my first try," which I will return to, but before I continue, I just want to ensure that this episode does have a positive message. I also want my content to be relatable and impact the people who need to hear this message, but that requires being open, vulnerable, and sharing some negative aspects of life. I also want the listeners to know that whenever I share stories of my own struggles, I'm not looking for pity or praise for overcoming such. Again, I want my content to be relatable, and personal stories are the most powerful means of connection in my opinion. So, 2022 was a very significant year for me, and truthfully, I did not produce the results I had hoped by the end of it. Approaching the new year, which I normally just consider an arbitrary moment in time, I still couldn't help but let it weigh on me. I started the year unexpectedly coming off a job that really pulled me down mentally and had me questioning myself. I had spent months unhappy and frustrated. The job put me in situations that surrounded me with people who actively wanted to tear me down, and I couldn't perform the job in alignment with my own business values, and when it suddenly came to an end, I blamed myself. Upon reflection, I do not feel at fault for anything, but being the type that takes extreme ownership of any situation I'm involved in, it took me a long time to rebuild my confidence and self-worth. While at this previous job, I became sure that I was meant for more. I knew the skills and abilities I have built could add massive value to the world. I have also invested a lot of time and money into learning about starting a business, so knowing this job would end one way or another, I told myself whatever I do next, it needs to be an honest attempt to build a business of my own. Long story short, I did make a real attempt, but in terms of my goals, I failed. I did not successfully build a sustainable revenue stream to support myself and be able to spend my time with the primary focus of building my business and helping clients. I was also not able to solve the necessary problems required to move to the environment I intended to relocate to significantly earlier in the year. As 2023 approached, I spiraled mentally. Fear and anxiety got the best of me. I am a very strong individual. I've accomplished a lot for my age. I can push myself in many ways that most can't, and I rarely take out my frustration on others, but no one is perfect. A weakness I have is that I can become very self-destructive. Fortunately, that doesn't appear in the form of reckless activities or drugs and alcohol, but there are plenty of other vices in the world, and I, like most men, bottle things up inside and take it out on myself. In the last couple months of 2022, I went to bed every night wanting to cry myself to sleep, feeling lost and without a vision forward. Every morning I would wake up with dread and struggle to leave my bed, let alone want to leave my apartment. I had known I was approaching a make or break point, but I did not expect this to be my reaction. I was not prepared mentally. My mental health had reached extreme lows. I knew it was time to pull my safety chute and fall back on my degree and past work experience. Fortunately, I found what I believe to be an ideal next step for me, all considering, and have accepted a full-time offer for an engineering position, which I may speak on more another time. With that, I want to add my overarching goals are still alive, and this is where I came to the subject of this episode. The quote, "I did not fail, that was just my first try." Now, if you're like me and tend to take words very literally, think about this in terms of intent rather than exact verbiage. Because yes, technically I did fail, but everything is relative. Different things are measured on different scales. Your diet, for example. If your goal is to lose weight, those Oreos that you just ate are a failure in the moment. But weight loss is a long-term game. If the rest of your week makes up for it, you can still lose weight. If you're learning a new skill like playing an instrument, you will have many small failures. You'll get the note wrong over and over. That doesn't mean you stop playing the instrument. In the world of dating, most relationships don't work out. But one relationship doesn't mean you will never find that special someone, which can take years. So personally, I felt like a failure. I was completely burnt out mentally, emotionally, and financially. But then I heard David Goggins say that, and it brought me back to a mindset that I had spent so long preparing for before 2022. I remembered the scale of what I was trying to accomplish. Now, I very well could have succeeded. There was no external nail in the coffin for my form of retreat. But I spent almost an entire year while at my past job mentally preparing myself to do something that was completely against any of my instincts. Going out on my own for business, leaving that steady, well above average paycheck for my age, risking a very significant amount of my savings, and part of that was knowing the scale of what I was trying to accomplish. Going into 2022, I knew I was far from guaranteed to exceed. It scared the crap out of me, and truthfully, there were so many times I wanted to pull the cord. There was a particular setback that lasted approximately 8 months longer than expected and is still a problem to this day. Something that not only hit me hard financially, but mentally as well. Unfortunately, I did not expect that particular project to go anywhere near as badly as it did, and I let that hold me back significantly in my business efforts and clouded my vision forward. But despite all of this, I still pushed forward. Looking back, the fact I didn't pull the cord for as long as I did is a significant victory in itself. I succeeded in pushing myself outside of my comfort zone in so many ways, just not to the level necessary to reach my business goals for the year. A key component of success in any realm is controlling the influence of your surroundings. Ideally, having your surroundings be a completely positive influence. This includes all aspects of your environment and how you react to it, especially the people. Looking back, I believe what I actually wanted most last year was simply a complete reset of my surroundings. Yes, I could have achieved my goals in my current surroundings. I have no excuse, but I was not strong enough to surpass my immediate surroundings. I started basically alone in my endeavor. My existing social circle had no connection to my goals. I was essentially at square one with my professional network. In terms of what I was working towards, I was on my own in my immediate surroundings. Add this to the fact that geographically speaking, I was living somewhere that did not suit me either. I was the source of motivation and emotional energy when approaching this project, and a majority of my surroundings influenced me in the wrong direction. I intend to make another episode very soon about how your surroundings and people influence your life, but hopefully you see how surroundings are a massively significant factor in your pursuits. I realize now that in a lot of areas I was making the classic failure of trying to put a square peg in a round hole. A very good analogy for how I feel about this last year. I struggled to build a circle that influenced me towards success, and towards the end of the year I attempted the relatively extreme but necessary tactic to push through the type of situation where your surroundings do not align with your goals. I completely minimized or cut off interaction. This tactic might have worked at the beginning of the year when I was highly motivated and had a clear vision, but at this point I'd been hanging on by a thread for months. I was already feeling lost and alone again. This last-ditch effort of isolation only sent me deeper. I fell into bad habits and lost myself. This tactic takes a lot of mental and emotional energy, which I was essentially depleted of going in. Hindsight being 20/20, I would have made more dramatic and intimidating decisions to make the move to a completely new environment early on before money became tight. So as I look into my own experience going into 2023, at first I felt like a failure. But then I remembered that the goals I have are on such a large scale that really this was just my first try. What felt like a massive failure was actually a small instance relative to the level of my goals. This single year does not mean I will never reach my goals. Alright, now that you have some insight into my story and mentality, I guess I'll start by asking, while listening, did anything pop into your head relating to your success or failure in 2022? Think about the goals you had placed last year. Did you reach them, and how do you feel about it? Win or lose, I want you to end this episode with a sense of direction and determination. Let's say you lost more than you won last year. Think about the scale of your goals. Was it really that big of a failure? And most importantly, did you learn from it? If you failed, stop right now. Be real. Think about what I just said. Identify the sources of that failure. Did you fail to control your surroundings rather than let your surroundings control you? If so, now you have an action item. How can you improve that situation? Who or what do you need to get rid of? Who or what do you need more of in your life? Did you let one circumstance leak into and ruin a separate part of your life? Did you burn out of a certain type of energy? Or did you simply just lack discipline? Identifying these sources of problems, or what you should call opportunities, is the key to changing your path towards your goals. And on top of that, consider this as well. You're still standing. Even if the outcome was not as you hoped, you survived. Remember that I felt like a failure, but in reality I pushed myself to a whole new level. I managed to go an entire year outside of my comfort zone in so many ways, and I am stronger for it. You too are stronger now. You too learned more than you think. And while you may have to recharge for a moment, remember this. That was just your first try. Or maybe your second, or even your third. It doesn't matter. As long as you reflect and learn from the past, that next try will be even stronger. So take a moment now and think back on your year. Think of everything you did overcome. You should be proud of that. And like the name of this podcast, life is about endurance. You have come so far and you can go so much further. Now for those who did have a good year, those who feel that they won more than they lost, awesome. Same things still apply. Instead of moving from failure just now to success. Now you have the chance to amplify that success, build even more momentum, and by reflecting on those victories in a similar way to failure, you can give yourself the ammunition to make this year even greater. Reflect on those wins. Deep dive and clearly identify why you succeeded. Once you have, plan to double down. You have no excuse to plateau. Take it to the next level. Remember how far you've come, the obstacles you beat, because the next obstacle may be bigger, but so too is your ability now. I hope this episode has given you some food for thought. Whether you succeeded or failed in 2022, 2023 can be an amazing year for you. Just remember how far you have come, to learn from your past, and to always get back up. I appreciate your time and look forward to a big year in 2023. This podcast is a serious passion project of mine that I intend to double down on this year. I'm gradually finding my voice and have so many ideas for episodes ahead. If you like the content, it would mean the world to me if you shared it with others who could benefit. My goal is to leave a positive impact on the world, and I appreciate any and all support. Please subscribe as well if you haven't yet. And if you want to follow my journey more, my Instagram is shady_engineering. As always, I look forward to sharing the next episode.